After 31 years of dedication, my husband transformed a vintage car only to discover it missing from the title. Charlie poured sweat and tears into restoring that rust-covered relic hidden away behind the barn, a vessel of my father-in-law's memories. But as he scrubbed each inch and polished the chrome, an ominous shadow loomed over our lives, threatening to rob him of the very legacy he sought to reclaim. The excitement of the restoration project crackled in the air like static. I could see it in his eyes, a flickering flame ignited by memories of summer road trips and cherished moments with his father. Yet, as the gleaming vehicle began to take shape, so did my own unease about our financial situation. Our bills piled higher each month, and the strain of keeping the shop afloat hung over us like a dense fog. Each wrench turn was both exhilarating and agonizing, a duality I struggled to reconcile. Charlie laughed, recounting old stories, dimples deepening as he wiped the sweat from his brow, yet behind that smile, I sensed a whirlwind of conflicting emotions. His ambition burned bright, but insecurity gnawed at him. Was he truly capable of finishing the car amidst our struggles? My heart ached as I watched him fight through growing doubt, and I feared the shadows of his father's past would only add weight to our already fragile bond. Before we continue, I need to tell you about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. The restoration completed, Charlie stood before the now polished car, beaming with pride, but a gnawing worry clenched his gut. The missing title loomed like a specter, haunting him. I watched as panic spread across his features, eyes darting nervously as he retraced every step taken in search of that elusive document. His breaths grew irregular, a palpable tension rose in the air, reminiscent of the days we spent suiting up for what felt like impending doom. As the days turned into restless nights, I found myself battling my own internal conflict. Do I support him in reclaiming his father's legacy, the dreams tucked away inside that car, knowing that in unveiling the truth, I might trigger buried sorrows? Or do I keep silent, sealing off a door to the past that threatens to topple the stability we've built? Just as I began to gather the words to offer him solace, another revelation surfaced. Rumors whispered through the family tree, secrets wrapped in moral ambiguity that rattled the very foundation of what we believed about our lineage. The thought clawed at my insides. What if the car carried not just my husband's inheritance but disturbing truths that could fracture our lives? As Charlie gripped the door handle, his eyes met mine. There was a flicker of resolve buried beneath the mounting fear. Did he truly want to know what lay within those old leather seats? The atmosphere crackled with unsaid words as our gaze locked, the weight of that moment spiraling into a chasm of uncertainty, and for the first time, I felt the air shift between us. We were at a crossroads where the echoes of our past collided with an unknown future, the road stretching into darkness ahead. Charlie turned the key in the door, a hesitant gesture that resonated with a lifetime of unspoken fears. As the door creaked open, he stepped inside, bracing himself against the musky scent of the car's interior. I followed closely, the atmosphere thickening with each passing moment. We were both adrift in an ocean of uncertainty, now faced with an intimate confrontation of our family's truths. My heart pounded in my chest, echoing the urgency of this revelation. Each glance at the vintage leather of the seats, now worn but still striking, drew out the emotions hidden deep within me. I felt the weight of those shadows, the history of a man I'd never met but had been entwined with through stories infused with both warmth and tragedy. Do you really want to open this up, Charlie? My voice trembled as I asked the question that had been swirling in my mind since the day we found the title missing. The air shifted, the casualness of our past conversations vanished, replaced by a palpable tension that felt akin to standing on the edge of a precipice. I need to know, he replied, his voice steady but laced with a gravity that caught me off guard. This journey, this car, was more than just steel and history. It was a testament to legacy, family, and all the unacknowledged sorrows that haunted us. He reached for the glove compartment, fingers hovering over the latch before he pulled it open with a decisive motion. Inside, a scattering of dusty envelopes lay nestled within, some yellowed with age, others emblazoned with official-looking stamps. Each document was a thread leading back to a tapestry of half-told stories and concealed truths, and I couldn't help but feel an overwhelming presence of time echoing in the space between us. As he fumbled through the contents, anxiety wrapped itself around his features, twisting them into a mask of concern. What if this changes everything? The question hung in the air, heavy and unavoidable. I think it already has, I replied softly, realizing that the grappling darkness of his father's legacy was intertwined with our own existence. This was not just about a forgotten title, it was a chance to wrestle with the past and reclaim parts of ourselves long buried beneath layers of fear and silence. Charlie withdrew a folded paper from the compartment, the edges tattered and frayed. As he unfolded it, the lines of his face grew taut, and I held my breath in anticipation. What would we discover? Would it illuminate our path forward or cast us into deeper shadows? It's his handwriting, he whispered, reverence lacing his words. I've never seen this before. The air crackled with an electric charge as he began to read aloud. My pulse quickened, each phrase peering into a soul long gone, revealing not only hopes and dreams but fragments of despair too. With every word, it became clear that Charlie's father had faced his own battle struggles that reverberated across generations, shaping the men who came after him. What if in this unraveling, we found not only clarity about his past but illumination on our own unresolved conflicts? The tension surged within me, battling against the burgeoning hope. Could this be a transformative moment for both of us? As we dug deeper into the narrative his father had left behind, I saw Charlie's resolve strengthen, wiping away the residue of doubt. The car, for all its longing, had transformed into a vessel of self-discovery, pushing us beyond mere restoration into the heart of forgiveness and acceptance. Yet, before we could fully grasp the implications of what we'd read, a loud knock echoed through the garage, startling us, shattering the fragile moment. We exchanged uncertain glances. Who could it be? The fear of confrontation crept into my thoughts again, and I wondered if it was an unwelcome harbinger of more truths. Would we emerge from this moment transformed, or would we find ourselves entangled in new conflicts, forever altered by the shadows of our predecessors? As the door creaked slowly open, anticipation curdled into tension. It was then I understood that this encounter might shift more than just our understanding of Charlie's past. That, perhaps, the road ahead would challenge our very bond, forging it in the fires of revelation or potentially tearing us apart. I took a deep breath, preparing for the unknown as the figure stepped into the light. The figure at the door stepped into the dimly lit garage, and I held my breath, ready for anything. The silhouette sharpened into focus, an older man with a furrowed brow and a wary posture. I didn't recognize him, but the intensity in his eyes spoke volumes. Uncertainty wrestled in my chest as I scanned the unfamiliar intruder, wondering what secrets he might carry. Charlie? The man asked, hesitance mingled with urgency, voice cutting through the tension. Charlie shifted, the paper still clutched in his hand, brow furrowing as he shifted from shock to scrutiny. His voice felt distant when he replied, "Do I know you?" "This isn't the place," the man said, glancing at the car like it was a time bomb. It was clear he meant to keep it buried. "We need to talk somewhere else." The urgency in his tone sent a shiver down my spine. I could feel Charlie's hesitation radiating beside me. A world of questions buzzed through my mind. Who was this person, and what connection did he have to our unfolding tale of revelation? Before I could voice my fears, Charlie's determination broke through the moment. "No. We talk here," he insisted, grip tightening around the now crumpled letter. The man's gaze darted between the contents of the car and Charlie's defiance. "You're not ready for this. Trust me." I felt the weight of those words rest heavily between us. Trust. What did that even mean now? I turned to Charlie, anchoring my resolve to his. We had stepped into this arena together. "We deserve to know whatever this is about," I stated, my voice firm despite the unraveling confusion around us. I could see the flicker of fear in Charlie's eyes, but beneath it, a deeper determination brewed, a hunger to confront the past head-on. The man let out a weary sigh, the lines on his face deepening with the burden of memories he was reluctant to bear. "Then I can't stop you," he finally relented. But understand some truths will hurt more than the secrets you already hold. Without waiting for a response, he stepped closer, crossing the threshold with an energy that felt heavy and ominous. As he moved into the light, his features became clearer, a familiar edge to his face sent my heart racing. It was not just a stranger, it was someone from Charlie's father's past, a link to the foundation Charlie was desperate to comprehend. How do you know my father? Charlie's voice was steadier now, pushing away wavering thoughts. He's more than you think, the man replied, each word heavy with meaning. His decisions, the things you're reading about, they shaped who you are. They shaped me too. Each revelation hung in the air, amplifying the pulsating tension that had taken root. I watched as Charlie's brow knitted further, a mixture of curiosity and fear. Charlie stepped forward, urgency rising in him. I've spent too long in the dark. I deserve to understand this is my life we're talking about. Then listen carefully, the man warned, matching Charlie's intensity. Your father had enemies. Ghosts from his past that never truly vanished. You have to be ready to face them. The gravity of these words sank into our skin, and the reality began to crystallize. This wasn't merely about legacy or secrets anymore, it was about survival. As the past threatened to encroach on our present, I knew we stood at a precipice. The door to understanding was flung wide open, and we would either step through together or be swallowed by the darkness it brought. Would Charlie find the strength to confront the shadows of his father, or would he falter under the weight of newfound truths? With our hearts racing at the brink of revelation, I glanced over at Charlie, the tension building like a storm on the horizon. The time had come to face the ghosts that loomed over us, and in that charged silence, I wondered if we were truly prepared for what lay ahead. Charlie took a step forward, his expression a mixture of fear and determination. If my father had enemies, then I need to know who they are. What have I been dragged into? His voice held a steadiness that belied the turmoil brewing beneath. I admired that resolve, it was a step toward an awakening. The man sighed again, his eyes narrowing in thought as he weighed his options. The truth is perilous. But your father's past is too tangled to ignore. He glanced at the crumpled letter in Charlie's hand, as if it were a key to the door of an ominous vault. It's not just his life, it's yours. The choices he made were meant to keep you safe, but in doing so, they put you at risk. You're already in the crosshairs. A wave of understanding washed over me, a quiet revelation about how deeply intertwined our lives were with Charlie's father's legacy. Each interaction, every choice, linked us more closely to this murky past we both sought to unravel. It was exhilarating and frightening in equal measure. But I felt an undeniable urge to help Charlie navigate this storm. Then tell me everything, Charlie pressed. I want to shy away from it. I can't afford to. He drew in a steadying breath, and I sensed the moment the fear dissipated from him, replaced by renewed clarity. Whatever lay ahead, he was resolved to face it. The old man nodded slowly, as if his heart was heavy with the weight of shared histories. Your father was involved with people who carried significant power. At one point, it was like he was playing a game of chess with their lives. Any move that tipped that balance could cost him, and now, you everything. That's why I need to know, Charlie interjected, what kind of game he was playing. Yes, the man replied, voice grave. But know this, ignorance was a protection. Knowledge is a curse. I could see the internal struggle in Charlie's eyes. It was not just a logical dilemma, but a profound moral one. Did he want to bear the burden of these realities, a burden potentially laden with danger? To continue deeper into this realm, he had to embrace the idea that shadows from the past could shape his future. With a deep resolve nudging him forward, Charlie asked, what do you mean by a curse? Your father thought he could keep you shielded, but there are consequences to every secret. He made enemies, and some of them won't rest until they settle the score. The man's voice was sharp now, each word edged with urgency. As Charlie absorbed the implication, I saw something shift in him. Fear mixed with a sense of purpose. It transcended the simple need for answers, it morphed into a determination to confront whatever lay ahead. Then let us face it together, he stated, a fire igniting in his gaze. That was at a turning point. A leap into uncertainty, driven by a need for understanding. In Charlie's resolve, I felt a painful swell of pride intertwined with anxiety. He had taken ownership of his narrative, and in that moment, it dawned on me how important it was for him to reclaim his story. But as the old man opened his mouth to speak, a distant sound interrupted. The roar of an engine suddenly cut through the stillness of the garage, pulling my attention to the outside world. A car approached our location, engine growling ominously. Who could that be? I thought, a fresh anxiety creeping in. The old man turned pale. We don't have much time. If they've found you, he stepped forward, urgency washing over him. You need to decide now, are you in this, or is this where you turn back? Every part of me wanted to leap forward into whatever was next, standing firmly beside Charlie. But another part of me, a hesitant voice, whispered warnings of the uncertainty we were facing. The stakes were rising, and I could sense a torrent approaching. With the growl of the car echoing ominously outside the garage, I caught Charlie's eyes, searching, pleading for a decision. Would he choose to dive deeper into this abyss, risking everything for the sake of his own truth? As the tension coiled around us, I realized this was more than just a choice to confront a past. It was about defining our futures and the strength we each would need to face what lay ahead. The moment of truth was upon us, and every instinct screamed for Charlie to take the leap. Just as I prepared to offer my support, the engine noise erupted into a screeching halt and a shadowy figure emerged from the car, revealing a face we'd never expected to see. Who would it be, and what impact would they have on the fragile balance of our resolve? Charlie's breath caught in his throat as the figure stepped into the dim light of the garage. A flash of recognition ignited a storm of conflicting emotions within him. The man was familiar, yet foreign. Echoes of childhood memories danced on the edge of his mind, muddled and unclear. What is he doing here? Charlie muttered, the question wrought with anxiety and unresolved tension. The old man's complexion paled further, his dread palpable. It's not just your father's past at stake, he's part of it, the old man warned, gripping Charlie's arm. The urgency in his voice was unmistakable, a silent plea for caution. The newcomer advanced slowly, revealing himself as a figure from Charlie's youth, a distant family acquaintance, a man who had frequently appeared during events, yet had never been part of the fabric of his daily life. Instinctively, Charlie stepped back, his body tense, poised for a confrontation that felt inevitable. Charlie, the man said, his voice a rough, gravelly whisper. I know this looks bad, but you need to listen. Each word felt weighted, laced with implications. Charlie's heart raced as he weighed the potential for danger against the need for answers. He could feel the old man's grip tighten, reinforcing his instinct to flee, yet something deeper ignited within him. What do you know? Charlie demanded, taking a dangerous step forward. The anxiety that previously gripped him now morphed into a determination to uncover the truth buried within this chaotic mess. The man glanced furtively at the garage doors to ensure they were still secure before taking a deep breath. Your father's actions have consequences, ones that you are only just beginning to understand. There are factions involved that will do anything to keep their secrets safe. Flickers of recognition struck Charlie. He remembered whispers of shadowy dealings surrounding his father, but he never imagined those rumors could extend into his present reality. The gravity of the utmost stakes clawed at his mind, lifting the veil of naivety that had protected him for so long. What do you mean? Charlie pressed, desperate for clarity as he struggled to wrap his head around the implications of this unexpected visitor. People you trust may not be who they seem, the man urged, urgency flooding his features. You're standing on a precipice, Charlie. You need to decide if you want to take the leap or if you'll let these shadows consume you. He could feel the weight of those words seeping into his skin, and acceptance that his childhood was marred with more than just innocent memories. They were tangled in hidden agendas and calculated manipulations. I can't just stand here, Charlie replied, the fire of conviction flaring in his chest. If I've inherited this mess, then I need to know who I'm up against. But that was just it. This was more than a simple conflict. It was a battle for clarity amidst chaos. The old man nodded solemnly at Charlie's revelation, seeing the resolve hardening in the boy he once knew, now stepping up to face his legacy. Suddenly, the tension heightened. The distant sound of footsteps echoed through the garage, breaking the moment with chilling clarity. "Time's up," the old man said, his eyes darting to the shadows creeping at the door. "You need to choose." For a brief moment, Charlie stood frozen, wrestling with the precarious tightrope of his decision. His heart raced, a mixture of fear and fierce resolve propelling him further into the unknown. But just as he made up his mind, the figure from the shadows emerged fully into sight, a face he had not expected. Would this newcomer bring clarity, or serve as yet another layer to his father's conspiracy? In that instant, doubt washed over him, intertwining with his burgeoning sense of purpose. Every instinct screamed for a choice, but the clarity he craved felt bleaker with every passing second. "Who are you?" Charlie spat, his voice taut with a blend of urgency and apprehension. In that moment, the line between ally and enemy blurred. As the figure stepped closer, the revelation about to unfold could either empower Charlie or draw him deeper into darkness. The stakes had never felt higher, and the air was thick with impending consequences. Would he be able to confront not only his father's past but also the truths within himself? The figure paused, his features cast in a hesitant light, moodily punctuated by the dim fluorescent flicker above. Charlie scrutinized him, searching for familiarities among the shadows. Anxiety gnawed at him like a desperate animal, aware that he was on the brink of unearthing undisclosed layers of his past. "Charlie, I'm here to help," the figure said, voice steady despite the turmoil that seemed to electrify the atmosphere. "You don't know everything. Your father, he's not who you think he is." The implications behind those words hung in the air like a thick fog, pressing against Charlie's lungs. His heart thundered, battling against the leaden weight of disbelief. Who could this man be? A savior or an echo of the shadows? He could feel the path forward diverging before him, each option fraught with consequence and uncertainty. "Help?" Charlie echoed, the word tasting bitter on his tongue. "Why should I trust you when you appear from nowhere with shadows clinging to your every word?" A hint of sadness flickered in the man's eyes, making Charlie pause. "Because I know the full story, and it involves you. Your father, there are things he kept hidden not just from you, but from everyone. Forgive me if I seem ominous, but your life is intertwined with secrets that could put you in danger." Simultaneously intrigued and threatened, Charlie stepped closer, his instincts surging with a cocktail of apprehension and fierce determination. This could be his gateway to truths he had held at bay for years, the life he wanted versus the reality he was now thrust into. "I'm done being cautious," he asserted, steadying his voice as he felt the stirrings of leadership within him. "If there is something I need to know, then you should tell me everything right now. No more cloaks and daggers." The man nodded, sensing Charlie's shift from fear to resolve. "Your father was involved with a group, a powerful one that extends far beyond our small town. And he left you with more than just a legacy, it's a ticking time bomb. You either grasp the reins and control your narrative, or you'll find yourself trapped in someone else's agenda." Charlie's mind raced, piecing together fragments from his childhood, moments he had discounted as mere eccentricities. A start at a new job, relationships that had tested his loyalty, it all seemed suddenly intertwined in this vast web. It was as if he were navigating his father's chess game, but now, he felt he had a seat at the table. "Tell me what I need to do," he commanded, the undercurrent of urgency transforming into powerful resolve. "I won't let fear hold me back any longer. Whatever it is, I am ready." The old man watched with a mixture of trepidation and pride, while the newcomer's expression shifted to one of profound seriousness. "Prepare yourself, Charlie. There are forces watching you. They know your name, and they'll come for you. You have to decide how to respond." In that, Charlie sensed the weight of inevitability settle into his shoulders. This was not just a test of his character, it was a crucible for his entire identity. He had to develop strategies that merged intuition with the hard lessons taught by life's unforgiving school. As the echoes of footsteps returned, confidence surged within him. This wasn't merely about uncovering his father's past, it was about forming his own path, understanding his strengths, and potentially discovering talents he had never tapped into. "Let us move then," he said, heart racing with purpose. "If there is going to be a confrontation, I want to be ready for it. As he took a step forward, towards the dawning advent of newfound determination, the shadows shifted. Just outside the garage, a figure lingered, cloaked in mystery, someone else embroiled in this unfolding narrative, someone who would change everything Charlie thought he knew. Who is that? He asked, sensing the convergence of fate as the figure shifted, exposing a face lit by flickering light. With every heartbeat, Charlie realized he was standing not just on the precipice of a revelation about his father, but in the midst of a personal metamorphosis that would decide who he truly was meant to become. The shadows deepened as Charlie stepped closer to the figure outside the garage, each heartbeat echoing with anticipation and self-doubt. He took in the outlined silhouette, a strange tension creeping into his shoulders. The flickering light revealed a young woman, her expression unreadable, a mixture of defiance and intrigue painted across her features. "Who are you?" he demanded, the steadiness in his voice betraying the chaotic churn of anxiety within. "Someone who knows why you're here," she replied, her voice strikingly calm as if she had stepped from the same shadows that enshrouded them both. "I've been waiting for you, but the time is short. They know you're coming." The words pierced through his initial skepticism, forcing him to confront the gravity of her assertion. "You know about them?" "I know a lot more than you think," she said, taking a step forward. "Trust is a scarce commodity in this game, but I can help you navigate the waters. You have no idea what you're really up against." Charlie felt the walls around him shift and close in, tightening like a vice around his resolve. He inhaled deeply, recognizing that every choice he made here could catapult him into unknown dangers or lead him toward a deeper understanding of himself and his past. "So enlighten me," he challenged, a spark of impatience igniting within him. "What do you know?" "Your father's past isn't just a series of lies, it's a labyrinth filled with dead ends and traps. He tried to protect you, but legacy isn't always a gift," she explained, her eyes narrowing, coaxing him into a reluctant understanding. "He made enemies, and you bear the weight of those decisions." He stepped back, caught in a web of emotions. "I've spent years trying to unravel my identity. If he was protecting me, why leave me in the dark?" "Because knowledge changes everything," she replied, her tone unwavering. "Especially when it comes to power and what it can demand of us. You need to decide, Charlie. Do you want to walk the path of ignorance, or will you rise to confront the truth?" Frustration bubbled within him, he felt cornered. "What's my next move then? I can't just roll over and accept this fate." Her lips twisted into a half-smile, a flicker of admiration in her expression. "That's more like the Charlie I expected. You need to harness that courage. Understand your strength and hone it. This isn't just about uncovering your father's legacy. It's about forging your own. Your decisions from this point will shape the narrative." A wave of determination washed over him. It was time to stop being a spectator in his own life. "What do you suggest?" "First, familiarize yourself with the game pieces on the board," she advised, her eyes glinting with a hint of mischief. "There are allies. People who can help you, even those with connections to your father. But be cautious. Not everyone wears a friendly face, and your every move will be scrutinized. Trust is your most valuable asset." He absorbed her words, allowing them to ignite a fierce resolve within him. Each decision would be a calculated risk, each interaction steeped in suspicion but also dripping with potential. "Let us find these allies," Charlie asserted, tightening his grip on the burgeoning sense of purpose. "I'm done letting others dictate my life." "Good," she said, admiration lacing her voice. "You're already gaining momentum. Just remember, even those who appear to stand beside you may ultimately be testing your tenacity. Stay vigilant." As they stepped back into the dim light of the garage, the oppressive atmosphere faded slightly, revealing a pathway forward laden with both uncertainty and promise. A voice boomed suddenly from the street outside, drawing their attention. "Charlie." It called, a mix of authority and menace wrapped in a familiar tone. His heart raced, old ghost stirred. "Who's that?" he gasped, instinctively bracing for confrontation, sensing that the growing shadows around him were more than a mere metaphor for his challenges. Let us go, she urged, urgency threading through her tone. We've got to move before the storm breaks. In the face of impending danger, Charlie realized he had no choice but to engage with the realities at hand. The confrontation he long sought was finally imminent. Would he have the strength to face not only those who pursued him but also the conflicting truths about his own identity? Charlie's heart pounded as he exchanged a brief glance with the woman beside him. He could feel the weight of the moment, the uncertainty of the situation propelling him into action. Who is that? He pressed again, anxiety creeping into his voice. Hurry, she insisted, her gaze unwavering and sharp. We don't have time to find out, we need to stay ahead of them. She took off, and instinctively, he followed. The dim surroundings morphed into a blur as they navigated through chaotic thoughts colliding in his mind. Choices had never felt so consequential. What if each step closer illuminated more truths about his family, a family that had been a mere specter in his life, haunting only in whispers and shadows? As they made their way through the tangled streets, he found his breath quickening, not just from the urgency but from a dawning clarity that rushed, and he was not just any average Joe navigating the mundane. He was part of something far more complex and dangerous. What had been a simple quest for identity was quickly becoming a fight for survival and power. Where are we going? He asked, falling into step beside her. The dim alley gave way to a sparsely populated street, the breeze carrying a chill that mirrored his discomfort. You'll need to meet someone who can guide you, she replied cryptically, her eyes scanning their surroundings. A friend amidst the chaos. Why can't you just tell me who it is? Charlie blurted out. His frustration bubbled again. He wanted clarity amidst the fog. If you are to be successful in this world, you must learn to be patient, she replied, a hint of sternness coloring her voice. Rushing into things has its consequences. Charlie nodded, the truth of her words resonating with him. He'd always felt the need for instant gratification, each decision molded by impulse rather than strategy. Was that how he ended up here, on the precipice of a revelation that had been years in the making? As they rounded a corner, the fluorescent light of a bar flickered promisingly ahead. There's John, she said, leading him toward a man leaning against a brick wall, arms crossed and expression unreadable. Charlie's instincts flared, an inner warning whispering caution. What makes him an ally? He asked, instinctively sizing the man up, reflecting on how vulnerable trust was. John's been in this game longer than either of us. He can provide intel on your father's associates. You'll need that if you want to navigate this treacherous landscape. Trust is scarce, remember? Charlie responded, feeling the heat of their shared tension. Yet, despite his misgivings, curiosity and urgency drove him closer to the man. Sometimes you don't get to choose your allies, she countered, her voice steady and reminding him of his original resolve. The flickering light revealed John's face, etched with a mixture of skepticism and intrigue. So, you're the son? He asked, assessing Charlie with a heavy gaze. Yeah, and I need answers, Charlie replied, trying to steady the unease churning in his gut. I want to know the truth about my father. John chuckled darkly. Then you're in for a ride. Truth can be dangerous. The weight of those words settled on Charlie, intertwining with the newfound determination. He was ready to dive deeper into his father's murky past, to confront hidden truths and alliances that had shaped his existence. As conversation unfolded and they exchanged information, Charlie found himself at a crossroads. Would confronting the darkness forged by his father illuminate his path or consume him? Neither option felt safe, yet the pull toward understanding drew him closer. With the stakes rising, Charlie realized he was no longer merely a pawn in someone else's game. He had begun playing his cards, albeit still studying the board. Are you ready to face the people who seek to control this narrative? John asked, eyes narrowing. Charlie met his gaze, heart racing with the weight of his decision. More than ever. The storm was brewing, and this time, it was not just about survival. It awaited him with open arms and challenging truths. But another question lingered after their exchange as doubt began to creep back in. He wondered, if he unearthed the reality of his father's past, would he be ready to live with those consequences? In that moment, his resolve solidified. There was no turning back now. Just as he took a step toward John, the door burst open behind him, and a chilling laugh echoed familiar and mocking. He turned sharply, dread unfurling in the pit of his stomach. Who had just entered, and what did they want with him now? Charlie's eyes locked onto the doorway, tension coiling within him as the figure stepped into the flickering light. Recognition jolted through him, ice encasing his veins. It was a face he thought he'd left behind, a face from the fragments of memories that only resurfaced in the darkest corners of his mind. The remnants of a long-buried childhood churned violently, crumbling any composure he had managed to gather. Isn't this a reunion? The newcomer taunted, lips curling into a smirk that twisted Charlie's stomach into knots. Jordan, Charlie said, the name hanging thick between them like smoke. Memories of whispered arguments and chaotic exits swarmed his mind. This was not just a ghost from his past, this was a significant player, someone tethered to the complexities he had just begun to unravel. Thought you could escape that easily? Jordan laughed, the sound grating against Charlie's resolve. I see you've chosen your allies poorly, following shadows of those who left you behind. Stay out of this, Jordan, the woman beside Charlie interjected, her voice low and filled with a steely edge. Jordan's gaze flicked toward her, dismissiveness dripping from every syllable. And who are you, exactly? Another misguided soul trying to help the little lost lamb? Charlie's hands clenched into fists at his sides. There it was again, the familiar sense of being belittled. He wasn't the scared kid anymore, though. This was the moment to rise above the shadows that had kept him in place for so long. I know what you did, he spat, each word hard-earned. I've pieced enough together. You can't control this narrative any longer. For the first time, the flicker of doubt crossed Jordan's face. Oh, but you're mistaken. I'm not here for control, I'm here for the truth. A sickening pit formed in Charlie's stomach. Was Jordan offering clarity, or simply another layer of manipulation? The confusion compounded. Here he was, face to face with the very source of his childhood anxieties, and yet those anxieties were morphing into a sense of urgency. Truth? Charlie echoed, an edge of skepticism tinged with curiosity, struggling internally. What truth could possibly justify the chaos? Look at you, Jordan grinned, his demeanor shifting into something almost predatory. You think you're ready to embrace your father's legacy. But trust me, you're not prepared for what lies ahead. You'll regret digging deeper. A chill crept down Charlie's spine, a reminder of the warnings that had been weaved throughout his life about loyalty, danger, and betrayal. Yet the path was already laid out. He felt that, for all its jagged edges, moving forward was his only option. Why don't you enlighten me? Charlie challenged, forcing composure into his voice. What risks am I unaware of? Jordan stepped forward, invading Charlie's space, eyes narrowing. It's complicated, kid. Getting close to the truth means wading through mud that your father tread through without hesitation. The woman beside Charlie shifted, her presence grounding him in this charged atmosphere. He could feel the tension melding into fuel for his determination. The thought of navigating the intricacies of familial ties, along with Jordan's menacing aura, sent adrenaline coursing through his veins. What do you know? Charlie pressed, a spark igniting in the depths of his chest. And what's in it for you? I want to see how far you'll go, Jordan replied, leaning in closer. Are you willing to sacrifice everything to get to the core of who you really are? As the words sank in, Charlie felt the weight of choice pressing down like a looming storm. He could either retreat, hiding once more in the shadows that had suffocated him, or step into the light that flickered around this tangled mess of his family's legacy. Taking a deep breath, he steadied himself. Whatever it takes, he declared, each syllable dripping with conviction. I won't let fear dictate my path anymore. Just as the air shifted, thick with newfound resolve, a commotion broke out in the bar behind them, a distant shout, followed by the unmistakable sound of a crash. Instinctively, Charlie's gaze shot past Jordan and back to the door. The stakes climbed higher. It wasn't just the battle for identity anymore, it was a war of survival. Prepare yourself, Charlie," Jordan warned, tilting his head slightly, an unsettling grin surfacing on his face. "You've just painted a target on your back." Charlie's heart raced, the stakes intensifying. He had declared his intentions, but now he had to confront the chaos that quickly approached. Every decision led him closer to the precipice where nothing was guaranteed. The next chapter of his life was taking shape. He stood at the forefront of a battlefield, poised on the cusp of uncovering truths that could unravel everything he thought he knew. But as shadows began to close in, he realized the choice for clarity now came with dire implications. What was the cost of seeking the truth? As Charlie steadied himself amid the swirling chaos, the distant commotion solidified his resolve. He no longer stood as a passive observer. He was finally confronting not only his father's legacy but also the tangled web of consequences sewn tightly around him. In that moment, the weight of expectation transformed into a tangible force, propelling him toward the challenge that lay ahead. The chaos inside the bar heightened, punctuated by shouting voices that clashed with the rhythmic pulse of his own racing heart. Without hesitation, Charlie turned to face Jordan like a sparring partner preparing for a match. "You talk about a legacy, let us talk about choices. Mine begins now." Jordan's expression morphed, the smirk faltering as if the gravity of Charlie's affirmation impacted his air of superiority. The tension crackled between them, and for the first time, Charlie sensed he could wield power, a power hindering the paralyzing hold that fear had once gripped on him. "Come on, then," the woman urged, her eyes shimmering with conviction as she drew him forward into the uncertainty, her unwavering belief in Charlie fortifying his core. "If you plan on breaking the cycle, you need to embrace all aspects, both dark and light." Charlie nodded, determination igniting in his gut as they moved toward the entrance, toward the roiling clamor spilling onto the street. Each step held the power of intention, and as he crossed the threshold, he felt a transition from doubt to clarity, from question to answer. Emerging into the street, the chaos surged around them like a tempest. Vague silhouettes clashed with flashes of light, and Charlie instantly recognized that the confrontation he had braced for was colliding with his reality. "Stay close," he instructed, his voice steady as he navigated the throng of bodies thrashing wildly. Clarity struck him like lightning. He was no longer seeking approval or solace in the memories of his father. He was negotiating the territory of his own identity and the legacy he chose to inherit. Suddenly, a figure veered toward him, their eyes obscured, but their presence exuded authority that demanded attention. "Charlie. You need to listen." The voice pierced the din, familiar yet unsettling. With recognition dawning, Charlie braced himself for the confrontation ahead. "What do you want?" he called back, the strength of his determination echoing in his words. The figure stepped closer, pulling off a hood to reveal a face he had almost forgotten. Anna, a childhood friend turned estranged ally, her expression marred by worry. "You're caught up in something way over your head. They're moving, and they won't stop for you." The reminder pricked at Charlie's resolve. He had fought too hard to retreat into the shadows. Now, he had to rise above the noise that once underscored his life. "I'm not running," he asserted, locking eyes with her. "I'm here to face the truth." "But what if the truth isn't what you want?" she pressed, urgency coating her words. "You think you inherited a legacy? It's a burden. They will come for you, Charlie." The gravity of her words brushed against his newfound determination, but it only fueled his resolve. "I want to know who I am, Anna. I can't hide anymore." A silence enveloped them, laden with the intensity of their shared history. It became evident this wasn't a fleeting reclamation of legacy. This was an act of defiance, the embodiment of choice. As the voices intensified, Charlie drew in a sharp breath, taking a step closer to her, his heart no longer racing from fear but from an unyielding belief that he could carve out the life he yearned for. "I am not my father's mistakes. I am my own choice." He could finally sense the maturation of past pains morphing into strength's, doubts dissolving with every breath he took. He felt pride, a justified sense of accomplishment rising to the surface. Here, in the eye of the storm, he stood resolute. Suddenly, from the corner of his eye, he caught movement, a dark figure darting toward them. Instinctively, Charlie positioned himself between Anna and the advancing threat, an embodiment of the metamorphosis he had undergone. The figure approached closer, narrowing into focus as Charlie braced himself for whatever revelation awaited. An all-too-familiar face appeared amidst the turmoil, a representative of the very shadows he'd sought to escape his father's old associate, the hints echoing the truth he had sought so fervently. "We need to talk, Charlie," the associate remarked, eyes glinting with a mixture of menace and urgency. Stifling his instinct to recoil, Charlie met the glare head-on. "I won't be played anymore. I am not here for your games." "Then you should be prepared," the associate smiled, sinister undertones lacing every word. "Because the chessboard has changed, now you are a player in a game with far higher stakes than you comprehend." Internally propelled by newfound purpose, Charlie engaged with unrelenting strength, embracing the complexities with unyielding desire to redefine what it meant to be part of this legacy. "Then let us play," he declared, a sense of thrill soaring through him. Acknowledging the pressure, he felt it dissolve, transforming the once crippling weight of uncertainty into the exhilarating adventure of reclaiming his life. With each turning moment the shadows behind, the light ahead, Charlie's voice echoed through the chaos around them. "I will confront my truth. Let everyone seek the truth, for I am ready to own my legacy." In the heart of turmoil where shadows converged with unfolding light, he walked toward the challenge ahead, each decision a stepping stone across a path laden with trials but also burgeoning possibilities. With crystal clarity, he recognized that the legacy he'd long feared was now not merely his father's story but a rich tapestry awaited to be woven with strands of courage, defiance, and transformative intent. His heart pounded with an intoxicating rhythm, a celebratory beat of triumph that resounded through him. Here, amid the chaos, he was finally taking his place, believing not only in the journey but in the depth of his capability to craft his future. And in that moment, freed from reservation and anchored in determination, Charlie felt the promise of ownership rise within him. The legacy would not merely remain haunting shadows, it would blossom into the power of his own resolve, tethering him not to the chains of fear but to the vibrant palette of his identity. A resounding victory marked the horizon. Charlie had not just chosen to confront his father's past, he had transcended it, becoming the architect of his own future, poised to shape the narrative with unyielding conviction. In the silence that followed the storm, he stood firm, a man reborn in resolve, his heart echoing. This was merely the beginning of his profound personal transformation. Now, as the pieces began to fit into place, an urgent revelation clawed at him. There was never any turning back. Don't wait even one more second. You need to subscribe now to the channel to not miss the next exclusive emotional stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. You won't regret it, it truly makes a difference. Comment below with your reactions and theories about this unexpected conclusion. Share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this riveting final chapter. Remember, only true fans of personal overcoming stories understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.